Greetings, good day. We are at Pacific Crest Cemetery of Redondo Beach, California. Let's talk about a silent film actress, Marvel Rea. She's buried right here. She was born November 9th, 1901 in Brown County, Nebraska. She and her family came to California from Nebraska, and they got here and she started doing silent films. She joined the Keystone Film Company in 1918, and she became one of Max Sennett's bathing beauties. She appeared in over 25 silent films. I can give a short list. Actually, there's a list on her Find a Grave page. I can put that in here. She married Henry Page Wells in 1918, but left him because the guy was a drug user. You know how that goes. I'm a little disappointed that when I came here, her gravestone is a bit damaged. I hope it gets repaired. But I'm a little disappointed because this story touched me personally. I was very grieved hearing the story. She was the victim of a very bad crime. Let me get into it. On September 2nd, 1936, so this was less than 20 years after she arrived in California. Miss Marvel was walking near 107th Street and Compton Avenue in Los Angeles when three young men offered her to take her to her home in East 107th Street. Folks, this was way back at a time where people weren't nearly as afraid of strangers as they are now. People used to let their children walk around the streets of the city unsupervised. It was very, very different culture, different time, different century. So, given that, she didn't think anything of it. But she didn't accept the ride. She refused. So the three of them got out of their little vehicle, their large red truck, and they attacked her. And they took her to a eucalyptus grove at 120th Street and Compton Avenue in South Los Angeles. She was thrown to the ground. She was beaten, assaulted with glass bottles, and then all three of the men violated her. It was like at that point when I first read this, like, folks, I'm one of those old-fashioned guys that has a special place in my heart for women and children. And when I read this, I don't know, I kind of wish I could have been there to stop it. Not that I could have, but I had this fantasy of myself on my shining armor and getting on my white horse and dashing to her rescue. Well, no one rescued her. In reality, during the attack and during the violation, she suffered a seizure, and the men left her semi-conscious. After 4 hours, she finally recuperated enough to get some help. The three suspects, which I'm glad to hear, were actually caught. They were questioned by the LAPD. They were arrested on suspicion of kidnapping and attack. They denied the charges, but they were convicted. They were sentenced to a prison term, each of 1 to 50 years. But because of technicalities during their trials, each of them got released in 3 years. Poor Marvel. There's hardly any words. I brought a stone in her memory because this touched me so deeply. Rest in peace, Marvel, with crosses and hearts. What happened, she didn't die from any of this, but on June 17th, 1937, she took her own life by swallowing ant poison for insects. So Her death certificate is listed as Marvel Wilkinson, but this is her name here on the stone, Marvel Rea. I am so, Miss Marvel, I know you can't hear me, but I am so sad and sorry this happened to you. I got so angry reading about those 3 thugs who didn't care a bit about human life. But I can only hope that you're resting in peace. I will put a link in the description to 2 or 3 of her silent films. 35 years of age, this is how she came to an end. Apparently she just couldn't handle this stress anymore. But folks, again, let me tell you that don't off yourselves. Please, don't terminate your own lives. It's not an answer. Someone said it's a long-term solution to a temporary problem. I guess she could have gotten help. Even back, this was almost a century ago, but even back then there were psychiatrists and doctors and probably support groups. There were definitely churches. You know, someone could have helped her. She didn't have to do this. Rest in peace, ma'am.